What if you were alone in the world? Imagine this. You wake up one morning to an eerie silence. No honking cars, no distant conversations, no morning news playing in the background. The air is still, too still. You check your phone, but there are no new messages. You step outside expecting the usual bustle of the world, but the streets are empty. No people, no animals, no sign of life. You are completely alone. At first, you might assume it's some kind of prank or an elaborate dream. You wander through your neighborhood calling out for anyone to answer, but the silence swallows your voice. The city is a ghost town. Buildings remain intact, cars sit frozen in time, but no living soul remains. The world is yours, yet you have never felt so powerless. Panic begins to creep in. You race to the nearest police station, hospitals, news stations. Nothing. The doors are unlocked, the lights flicker, but there is no one inside. The world hasn't crumbled into an apocalypse. There is no visible destruction, no bodies, no chaos, just pure, overwhelming emptiness. The first few hours are filled with frantic searching. You turn on the television, static. Radio stations loop emergency signals. The internet is gone. With no digital connection, no news updates, and no explanation, you are left with only your thoughts. The realization hits, this is not temporary. You are alone. The first few days feel surreal. Hunger forces you to raid abandoned grocery stores where shelves are still full, yet there is no one to restock them. You pick a car, any car, and drive aimlessly, expecting to find a sign of life somewhere. But city after city, the world remains empty. Skyscrapers stand tall, billboards flicker with outdated advertisements, and the world seems frozen in time. Yet nature begins to reclaim its space. Birds stop perching on wires, stray animals no longer roam, and the air carries an unnatural silence. Your mind becomes your biggest enemy. The human brain is not designed for absolute solitude. Days blur together as you search for another voice, another presence. You talk to yourself out loud, filling the silence, hoping for an answer that never comes. You start keeping a journal, recording your thoughts, trying to make sense of a world that no longer follows the rules you knew. Weeks pass. You become a nomad, moving from place to place, keeping yourself busy just to avoid the creeping dread of isolation. You break into libraries, read old books, flip through old photos, anything to remind yourself of the world that once was. But the absence of human interaction starts to weigh on you. Your memories feel distant, as if they belong to someone else. Without conversation, without society, your sense of self starts to erode. You explore places you never had time to visit before. Ancient ruins, massive museums, libraries filled with unread books. You climb the highest buildings and scream from their rooftops, hoping someone somewhere will hear. You travel across entire states searching for signs of life, but each town is as empty as the last. The loneliness starts to take a psychological toll, leading to hallucinations, figures appearing in the corners of your vision, faint whispers in the wind. You question your own sanity. Months pass. You learn to adapt. You master survival skills, growing food in makeshift gardens, capturing rainwater, and setting up shelters in different cities. Seasons change, and with them, so do you. No longer driven by fear, you find a strange peace in solitude. You watch the sunrise from mountaintops, walk through endless fields of grass, and listen to the sound of your own heartbeat in the absolute silence. The loneliness never leaves, but you learn to live with it. Yet questions never stop haunting you. Where did everyone go? Were you left behind for a reason? Is there a way to bring them back? You begin leaving messages, notes scrawled on walls and billboards, hoping someone else might find them. The idea of another human, even just one, becomes an obsession. You begin talking to objects, mannequins, statues, even reflections in windows. You set up makeshift communities, arranging chairs in circles, pretending there are others around you. The loneliness becomes suffocating, and you begin to question whether being alone is worse than death itself. Dreams become vivid, filled with voices, faces of those you once knew, but waking up is a cruel reminder of the silence. You try different experiments to break the monotony. You set entire buildings ablaze just to see the world react to something. You send messages in bottles, launch paper planes from the tallest buildings, record your voice on old cassette tapes, and scatter them across cities, hoping that one day someone, or something will hear them. You start creating a detailed map of the places you've explored, marking areas you've scavenged and places you might return to. You develop a routine, searching for new supplies, maintaining your shelter, attempting to keep a record of time. You create rituals, small moments of sanity to keep yourself from losing your identity. You build a collection of books, carefully selecting ones that could teach you survival skills or simply comfort you with stories of a world that once was. Then, one day, something changes. A flicker of movement in the distance, a door left open where before it was shut, a radio crackling to life for just a second, a footprint in the dust that is not your own. The realization is both terrifying and exhilarating. You are not alone after all. But who or what is out there, and are they friend or foe? Time continues to pass, and you prepare for whatever may come next. You gather supplies, fortify a home, and train yourself to be ready. Your instincts sharpen. You no longer expect companionship, you expect survival. You establish routines, marking the passing days by notches on walls. Your body toughens, your mind hardens. You no longer search for people. You search for signs, for movement, for the unknown. You walk into the heart of once great cities, entering their silent ruins. You look up at the stars, wondering if someone else is out there beyond the reach of your understanding. You wonder if the silence is meant to teach you something, to prepare you for something greater. And still, you wait. You wait for the moment that changes everything. And when that moment finally arrives, you will be ready.